Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturns. At a recent Saturday morning gathering for our woodturners, we started doing some burning of the wood with these wire wood burners. And we started talking about alternatives to these because as I use these, and I've used these quite well for several years, but you can see that they're all kinked up, and although I have three of them of different sizes, I can never find the third or the second, or so where are they? And occasionally when I've finished using them, I've put them down and I've burned myself or something else because there's no real good way to put them. They're all long and tangly. So we started talking about alternatives, and here's an idea I came up with. It's one of the several that we'll probably try in the group and see how they work out. But essentially this is fairly easily made. It's just a triangle, so I can have three wires of different sizes. If I really wanted four, I'd make it a square and do accordingly, but with screws between washers to hold the wires tightly, and then essentially just a spacer. Now this is good for, I think, bowls or discs up to about this big in diameter. Bigger than that, I'll probably still use these if I can find them. Or I could make a bigger space in between and maybe bigger ends. Anything goes with this. So with this, I expect to be able to always be able to find my wire wood burners, that I can put them down on a surface without burning it, and that they won't get kinked up like the others will. So I'm going to try this out. We'll see how it works.
For flat projects like this, nothing beats having a disposable pattern. I used CorelDRAW software to draw a triangle with a center with truncated corners and marks for the center and for the hold-down washers. The truncated corner gives a flat for the wire. Any decent drawing software would do, including hand-drawn. This software is about 3 inches, but an exact size is a personal choice. Then this pattern is printed on plain paper. Using spray adhesive, the paper is glued to some 1/2 inch plywood and rough cut on a bandsaw, staying outside the lines. Then a large disc sander does a quick job of sanding exactly to the line. At this point also, I use a Forstner bit to drill the depth of 1 washer at each corner, then drilled a pilot hole for the screw that will clamp the 2 washers on the wire at each corner. At the bandsaw, I cut a shallow cut to position each wire. Finally, I drilled the center hole and cleaned off the remaining paper from the pattern. For the center spindle, any wood will do. Figure out how much you need for a handle and a knob on the opposite end, then determine how far to put the ends apart. Add these together with a liberal amount for 2 tenons that will go through the plywood and into the spindle on the other side. My wood is small enough that I can mount one end in a chuck for initial roughing. Then cut a tenon for a better hold in the chuck. This tenon will serve double duty: to reverse mount the wood in the chuck and to be the piece that goes through one of the triangles and into the center section. I use a sharpened end wrench as a scraper to size and scrape the tenon. I don't have to reverse it yet. I form a handle with a good grip for me, with a large area at the end where I will drill a hole for a hanger string. This is a spindle gouge work, then sand and finish. With finish done, I can part off the handle. I'll trim the end later. Since I already have a tenon on this piece, I can change chuck jaws before continuing to form the spacer spindle that will go between the 2 triangles. Nothing fancy here for me unless I want the practice. I'm using a skew with peeling cuts to waste off excess wood. Before I go too far and make the spindle too small, I'd better drill a mortise hole on one end. I spec these at 1/2 inch, so I'd better leave enough wood around the hole. Then finish off with a skew for a nice smooth surface. Cut the tenon on the other end that will go through the second triangle and into the knob. Sand and apply lacquer sanding sealer for a finish. Now that the appropriate jaws are all on the chuck, I can go back and finish the end of the handle. Using a tenon that will join the pieces together, I can mount it for a little sanding and final finishing. My first spindle was not long enough for the final knob. I've mounted another piece of wood into the chuck. This is not a great hold because the wood is irregular, but it will be sufficient while I cut a tenon. Then I can reverse mount it so that it can be more secure. Then drill for a tenon that will connect the pieces through the plywood. Now I can finish shaping the knob. Nothing fancy here before sanding and finishing. After the lacquer dried, I sanded it back again just a little before applying a mix of mineral oil and beeswax. I did need to mount a sanding pad to finish off the nub. I went back over each piece similarly. Final assembly is to glue the tenons through the plywood and into the next piece. For wire, I went to a music store and asked if they had any broken steel strings. They brought out a 5-gallon bucket and let me choose a couple of sets. The largest wire is one that is wrapped with other wire. I was not sure about this type, but it seems to be working well. If it breaks soon, I'll just replace it. Please note that there are 2 washers on each screw so that the wire can be clamped securely between them. In use, the action is the same as any other wire burner, except that I can find it easier. I have all sizes available for use. The wires don't get kinked up, and there's less chance I can burn myself or something else. So far, so good. I like it. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe on my website, tell your friends, and send me your comments and questions. Every week, I make a new wood turning video. But please wear your full face shield anytime the lathe is running. Until next week's video, this is Alan Stratton from As Wood Turns.